Hello, everybody. I got an important message that I need to tell you about. This is the 7th of December, and today is the anniversary day whenever we was attacked that basically started World War II. I realized that that attack was by a human race using bombs, ammunition, bullets, and missiles that was attacking our people at that time. It evolved into a 5-year ordeal before we was fortunate enough, blessed enough to be able to stop it pertaining to the 2 atom bombs that was dropped on our adversary. We, as a society here in America, have never taken anything lightly. And today, on this anniversary, we don't need to take this lightly neither, pertaining to how that the coronavirus has basically accelerated. I think that's the proper word. It has accelerated. It has exploded into areas such as we've never seen before. This particular message that you're fixing to hear could and may very well be the most important message that you've ever heard in your entire life towards saving your life. So please, I realize people are fatigued over COVID. I realize people has likes and dislikes. They have needs. They want to go places. We're a spoiled nation. We're a very wasteful nation. But if you care anything at all about your life and those around you, it is imperative that you listen to this particular message today. December the 7th, on the anniversary whenever our people was attacked by another form or another technique of an enemy that was trying to destroy us. It is imperative that you pay close attention to what happens in the next 6 weeks. So please, as I'm fixing to let this show be documented, understand that we are not trying to frighten you. We're not fear mongers. We're not in the middle of a theater crying fire, 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 and there is no fire. Believe it or not, there does come a time sometimes to cry fire, 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 and right now is the time to cry fire. Lives is precious. Life is precious. All life is precious. And whenever we become callous to the degree that we no longer have the sensitivity of understanding how crucial that life truly is, then we have lost our understanding of the creation of that in which what our Creator created us to be. So please identify with this message and use it effectively, give or take about 2.5, 3 weeks before Christmas. I wish that I could come on board with a different message in 2020. I wish that I could tell you that everything was hunky-dory and just a bed of roses. But if I'd done that, I would be lying to you. This is not a time to be fooling around. This is a time to listen to the professionals and to take heed to the signs that are occurring around us on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour moment. Thank you for your attentiveness.
Not burned down. All is well. I let them do Eggos.
Oh, there you go.
Right. You pop it up and let it pop up. That's enough. So there you go. Well, I hope you had a good weekend as well. Let's catch you up on the latest in the fight against COVID-19. The UK, this is a big story today, has rolled out the first round of vaccines. And according to documents seen by NBC News, 50 hospitals are receiving less than 1,000 doses each, reserved for healthcare workers and people over the age of 80. And as we want to wait for a vaccine here in the U.S., health officials continue to sound the alarm about the situation right now. In fact, listen to what the White House's coronavirus response coordinator, Dr. Deborah Birx, said on Meet the Press yesterday.
Listen up!
The vaccine's critical, but it's not going to save us from this current surge. Only we can save us from this current surge. This is not just the worst public health event. This is the worst event that this country will face, not just from a public health side.
So here's the deal. We can't let our guard down. The state of California set a new record on Sunday with nearly 35,000 new cases in a single day. Now, millions there are facing strict new stay-at-home orders. Let's go to NBC national correspondent Miguel Almaguer. He's there. Miguel, good morning to you. What's the latest on the surge? And really talk about how bad it is out there in California.
Well, Chanel, the numbers are really just staggering no matter how you look at them. Here in Los Angeles County, for example, on Sunday, we had more than 10,500 confirmed COVID cases just in this county alone. That's higher than about 44 states reported on that same day. And really, it's the question of ICUs. Across California, ICU capacity in many of the regions have dropped below 15%. That's triggered this new stay-at-home mandate. I'll give you a story just about a mile and a half from our location here. We were at a hospital about a month ago, St. Joe's Hospital, and they had set up an extra COVID ward, 2 wings of a floor that they said they did not anticipate needing. Today, that COVID ward is completely full, Chanel.
My goodness. And so now there are new lockdowns affecting approximately 85% of California residents over the next 3 weeks. What does the lockdown entail, and how is the order being received?
Well, certainly being received but differently by different folks. I'll start with the lockdown. It's affecting about 33 million people. Essentially, it's asking all Californians to stay home unless they must leave their house for essential businesses. It's also curtailed and completely closed down personal services, barbershops, nail salons. Those are closed again. Even grocery stores and pharmacies have been capped to 20% capacity, so those will certainly be impacted. And 2 sheriffs, one in Orange County and one in Riverside County, are essentially saying that those new orders, those new mandates are unconstitutional. They say they will not uphold those restrictions, Chanel.
People are fatigued. Miguel, thank you for the update this morning. You stay safe as well. All right, let's turn to someone who's been on the front lines treating coronavirus patients in California since the start of the pandemic. Let's bring in Dr. Mark Morocco, professor of emergency medicine at UCLA Medical Center. Dr. Morocco, thank you for talking with us this morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's take this a step at a time. The restriction Miguel just mentioned, including closing in-person dining, hair salons, even outdoor playgrounds. In your opinion, was all of this necessary?
Well, the numbers don't lie, and the virus doesn't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you live in Orange County or Los Angeles County. We have so much of the virus in the community here in Los Angeles, and this is true nationally as well. In my column, I wrote, the virus is a fire and we are dry grass and it's burning from sea to shining sea. And those hotspots are everywhere. So all of the things that we could do in the summertime and the early part of the fall, because we were so successful with our initial response in Los Angeles and in California in the spring, all of those things are different now. There's so much more risk that you will contact somebody who has the virus, is spreading it, and doesn't even know. I use this simile. It's like one of those zombie apocalypse movies. The zombies don't know that they're zombies. They're just out there. The chances of you contacting those people while you're at a restaurant, even socially distanced, while you're getting your hair cut, are much higher now. So this is a real time, an opportunity the next 6 weeks to do it again. We didn't expect to win this war with a single battle, but now we are really in the battle for this entire epidemic. You must do something. You must do something in the next 6 weeks. What you do matters for your family, for the country, for the people that you don't even know that you're saving.
So, Dr. Morocco, there in California, you've got the most cases of any state in the country. Why are the numbers there heading so badly in the wrong direction? And what are the emergency rooms and ICUs like right now?
Well, Al, I think everybody feels the same fatigue. You know, we've been doing this for 7 months. And to put it in perspective, it feels like we've been doing it forever. But compared to something like the Great Depression, which was 10 years, World War II was 5 years, we are just in this sort of, and the last flu epidemic in 1918 was 2 years. So we're kind of in the beginning of this. I tell people all the studies that we're doing, all the things that we're learning, you know, it's a little bit like trying to predict the final score of a baseball game in the third inning. We're kind of almost halfway there. So all of the hospitals in Los Angeles County, very diverse county, lots of different kinds of hospitals, big university places like where I work, little community hospitals, that there's a very, very big difference in the amount of resources that are available. But we've all been preparing because we saw these numbers coming. We knew that this would happen if we had trouble with folks losing their focus, if you want to think of it that way. In a coaching metaphor, we want you to stay in the moment. Like, this is when you make the big play, and they're simple plays. We're not asking you to do anything crazy. Protect your family, stay at home, mask, wash your hands, avoid big crowds, try not to travel now, right? We just need a 6 week focus until these vaccines come in and give us the sort of light at the end of the tunnel. But until that time, all of us in emergency medicine and critical care have been preparing because we could see that these numbers were possible. They're actually worse than we thought were possible.
Wow.
Dr. Morocco, you did mention that Pfizer's vaccine is likely to be the first greenlit by the FDA for use in emergency use, but that light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, I mean, we are still in the tunnel right now, right? So we can't just know that having a vaccine in the future is going to solve everything in this moment.
But one of the things you should remember, and I tell folks, you have to forgive yourself a little bit, right? You have to understand that this is difficult in many ways. People are feeling alienated. They feel sort of sad. There's certainly feelings of depression. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But it doesn't mean that we're done yet. But I tell people to focus on the simple things that they can do, to gather their family around them, be in a safe place, do the things that you can do together that are low risk. And for now, there are less of those things than we had before. But there really is, each stepping stone is a single action. What you do matters. Stay in the moment, stay focused. We get through the next 6 weeks, the rest of it's going to be a lot easier. Now, remember, once these vaccines come into the community here, and we think we're going to get our first doses in the next week or so, there's going to be a while until people get their immunity up. And then those doses have to work their way out through the community, and that's going to take a few more months. But once we get to the point where so many people are vaccinated that herd immunity can kick in, we should see this thing end relatively quickly. But we have to get to that point. And that's what I'm telling people now. Just stay positive, stay focused. No matter what you think about what's going on, this is a time for all Americans to unite. We've done it before. We can do it again.
Dr. Morocco, you're very convincing. You'd be an excellent coach, because now we're like, okay, we're fatigued, but we hear you this morning. You're on the West Coast, we're on the East Coast, and we're all in this together. Thank you for your time this morning.
You guys be well. Thanks for having me.
All right, we got to hang in there, guys. Okay, just ahead, our series, Coronavirus in the Classroom. It's not the college experience they wanted. Students are getting candid and sharing what life is really like for them on campus this year. And then later, theater legend Audra McDonald is live to tell us about finding a new way to perform A Streetcar Named Desire during the pandemic. We'll be right back.
People were afraid.
Let's move on and pick up just a bit of what they're talking about here as far as personal testimony.
Decided to find out what the fall semester was like and how they're doing.
So we invited a few students from Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, to share their perspective and experiences with you. Take a look.
During the pandemic, meeting up with professors actually isn't that difficult. It does require a little extra planning and some layers when it's cold outside.
The further into the semester that we've gotten, the easier it's gotten for everybody, both professors and students.
This is probably the most familiar screen to me now during the pandemic.
It's really hard to do wedding design all online, obviously, because normally you meet in a theater. But we have this really cool software that lets us design online.
We have 2 cameras,
to capture everybody who's attending in person, and we have the screen that everybody who's attending remotely is projected upon. That way we can see them.
I am currently walking to go get tested for COVID for the day.
Right over here, this huge building has been dedicated to testing. I'm just waiting for my turn to get COVID tested. I have my handy dandy student ID.
Obviously, we still mask and social distance, but I'm super glad that we're tested every 3 days.
I feel really safe here at Northeastern. I know I'm saying this from quarantine, but I actually think that's why I feel so safe.
I must admit the pressures of trying to avoid a deadly illness on top of managing all my coursework can be really overwhelming.
A lot of the stress and anxiety that I was feeling back in March has dropped to a more manageable level, at least.
One of the things that I've really made a priority this year is getting outside. It's really easy to just stay inside on my computer all day, every day, but I always feel better after being outside.
So I'm out for my daily walk today. It's getting a little chilly, but it's so nice to get out of my apartment when I have nonstop classes inside.
It's hard to meet people within a pandemic, especially when so many common spaces are shut down.
Well, I do have friends that I see pretty much every weekend. It's definitely taken a toll on my social life.
You know, we're so used to connecting with people virtually anyway that it's not a huge shift.
I'm definitely an introvert, so going out to parties was not really ever a big deal for me, but it's like sad that I don't really have the option anymore during COVID.
We all coordinated a self-care day to go get our eyebrows done in the freezing snow.
The silver lining that comes with attending college during the pandemic is that with the limited capacity in the libraries, I pretty much have this whole place to myself.
One of the things that I am thankful for is just being back in Boston and not having to spend another 4 months straight with my entire family under the same roof.
The vibrant sense of community here at Northeastern University makes me really proud to be a Husky and really grateful to be here, even though it's quite a strange time to be attending college.
Wow.
I want to end this real quick by saying something to my viewers. If there's ever been a time that we needed to be diversified in adapting to the climate, adapting to the region, adapting to whatever that we're having to deal with, now is that time. Whenever my wife walked out of my life in 2005, I had to become adapted because I was a family man up until then, working at the same place for about 10 years, doing auto body work, working on cars. And I had my routine, where I went, what I done, and you could almost set your watch, and you can do that with most anybody, that we have our routines towards what we do and what we like, what we don't like, where we go, where we don't go, who you spend your time with. Since 2005, I have had to have become diversified in every aspect towards not just being a storm chaser, towards going to places where there was major catastrophes at, towards being able to help with FEMA and the Corps of Engineers, and plus being able to help to counsel various people. But I've had to readapt towards being messed with by various law enforcement agencies, regardless whether they was in Tennessee, Kentucky, or Oklahoma, or even down in Atlanta, Georgia area. I've had to readapt because sometimes they would order for me to be studied, and I would have to go through a process. Sometimes that would take like 6 months, and I'd have to readapt towards being around a lot of concrete, a lot of steel, being around a lot of guards, being around a lot of prisoners that had done horrible things. The reason why that they was in there. I had to readapt towards going to various places, regardless whether it was in North Carolina or Florida or Kentucky or Indiana or out west pertaining to Phoenix, Arizona, California, Colorado, or whatever. To be diversified in a time like this is probably going to save your life. And I realize some people can't be diversified because of their age, because of their illness, because of various circumstances going on in their life. But this is a time that you must pay attention to the signs of what is going on around you. Picture your whole life as being in a classroom. In this classroom, you have to learn towards what to do and not what to do if you're going to survive this particular moment in history. You keep in mind, this is not just something that's happening locally. This is not just something that's happening pertaining to your state or your region or your nation. This is happening globally. This is happening globally. The coronavirus has struck with a vengeance, okay? And until they do come out with a vaccine and it's prominent to the point that we can vaccinate ourselves in understanding the potentials towards safeguards, we're going to have to become diversified in doing what the professionals is telling us to do right now. I realize it's hard. It was so hard for me to give up my wife in 2005, and since then I've had to readapt. I had strong desires towards wanting to be a family man basically the rest of my life. But whenever the Lord got a hold of me and I recommitted my life over to Him, that was whenever my wife decided that she was going to evacuate her obligations towards the vows that she had taken and leave me hanging for dry. Not only was she going to leave me hanging for dry, but other people that I have associated with in the past 15 years have basically done just exactly that. They was going to leave me hanging for dry. Even whenever I come back to Northwest Tennessee in 2014, the neighborhood by and large was to leave me hanging for dry, including the churches, including various politicians. And they basically put my brother David on a spot to the point that either David was going to go along with the neighbors that was being abrupt and being cruel and insensitive, or David was going to have to bend his way towards hanging on to his brother, me. David and I had discussions about this. I said, David, what is your feelings? He said, first of all, Jibby, you got just as much right in being here on this property as I do. He said, a matter of fact, you've got more investment here towards the things that is out in the shop pertaining to compressors and welders and torches and other big equipment that you've donated to Dad and the property, more so than me. He goes, I am not going to deny your right in regards towards you coming back here and settling back in. He said, I am your brother, and blood is thicker than water. At that point in time, I knew that I could deal with David, and me and David was going to work things out. On the other hand, pertaining to various government officials, whenever I was first attacked in the year 1991, no, let me back up, 1989, in Madison County in Jackson, Tennessee, they attacked my constitutional rights by confiscating the sword symbolizing peace on earth. Not only did they attack my Constitution, but they attacked my rights. My rights has been attacked again and again and again, regardless whether it was various officials here in the state of Tennessee or various officials in the state of Kentucky our various officials out west in Oklahoma and including Atlanta. Whenever you have a government that is operating in this regard, this, I believe, is what has brought this type of sorrow upon society. In the sorrow, we have to learn why this is happening, how to prevent from this happening, and try to stay clear of actually being a victim during the time that this is wreaking what it's wreaking up onto the land. It wouldn't be no different if it was China attacking us again over in Hawaii up onto this anniversary date, December the 7th. So I'm telling my viewers right now, as a minister of God, as a voice for God, as a messenger from God, okay? I'm telling you now that it is crucial, it is imperative that you quit playing games with not just the virus, but quit playing games with God Almighty pertaining to what He's doing and why He's doing it. There's a reason why that this has occurred. And it's not just because of people being unclean. It's not just because people wasn't using proper hygiene. There's a reason why that this has occurred, and I believe that it's pertaining to their relationships that they have known, that they have compromised with their Creator, pertaining to God Almighty, and God is shaking the tree, and the bad fruit falls out, and the good fruit is still up on the tree, and we grow stronger and longer with Him. This is a way for the world to be purged. And you have to realize that. But at the same time, you must realize that there's a lot of people out there that are heathens, and they haven't taken this serious. You got people out there that still refuses to wear a mask. You got people out there that don't think that this is really happening. I, my personal self, got a little puppy. I already had a cat, but I got a puppy. I live by myself. Once more, I've had to transition into various things towards being diversified in this matter, just like being in a classroom. And I've had to learn how to survive, regardless whether I was up on top of the mountain or down in the valley. Because I'm going to praise my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, regardless whether I got all my friends or I don't have no friends. And I've said to myself, and I'll say again, I'd rather not have no friends to have the wrong kind of friends. Yes, my family has abandoned me. My friends has abandoned me. My church brothers and sisters has abandoned me. But just because that they have abandoned me now doesn't mean that they're going to continue to stay abandoned from me tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So I still hang on to hope. Hope in believing that out of all of this, if there's going to be a silver lining, the silver lining will be for us to unify and to become united. Because united we stand, divided we fall. And it's that way in not just a war, but it's basically that way pertaining to this biological war that we're fighting in regards to this. Please, please take this message serious. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and shalom.